There's tension in Santa Clara today. Ready for the unexpected? Four storylines are colliding for the 49ers, and they're about to mess with every fan's head. An unexpected opening on the NFC chessboard, a delayed reunion that changes the game plan, one offensive piece that must answer the call, and a gamble that could become Sunday's headline. No spoilers. There's a front office decision brewing, locker room impact, and a strategy that might surprise anyone who thinks they've figured this team out. You won't believe what we've got today. So sit down, drop a like, and let's dive straight into the news. If there's one move that could flip the NFC board overnight, it's this. With Michael Penix Jr. locked in as Atlanta's future, the league's reading is that Kirk Cousins could indeed become a trade chip, and the San Francisco 49ers are surfacing as the calculated destination. This isn't idle gossip. Recent reporting says the Falcons are open to in-season offers, even if the price is steep, and one specific idea has been circulating in the last few days. It ties together a veteran who once mastered Kyle Shanahan's system, a pass rusher newly arrived in Santa Clara, and a title window nobody wants to waste. Let's unpack it, because this situation has layers. Brock Purdy is expected to miss 2 to 5 weeks with a turf toe variant plus a shoulder issue. Kyle Shanahan has already confirmed Mac Jones as the starter against the Saints, and the immediate plan is simple. Protect the pocket, accelerate the quick game, and trust the defense. But what if Jones wobbles? That's where Cousins gains traction. Experienced and rhythm-driven, he thrived in this system in Washington, and on a Super Bowl-ready roster, could be the bridge that keeps the season on track until Purdy returns. What's the cost? The proposal being floated suggests a package in which the 49ers would send Bryce Huff and a conditional 2026 fifth-rounder to Atlanta for Cousins. Why would it make sense for the Falcons? Immediate cap relief and an edge boost for a front still chasing consistency. Why would it make sense for the 49ers? Insurance, a proven starter if the Mac plan stalls, raising the floor at the most important position during an open title window. There's logic on both sides, and the spicy detail is that Cousins already worked with Shanahan, shrinking the adaptation curve. Of course, there are guardrails. Cousins has a no-trade clause and would only approve select destinations. San Francisco, with a real shot at a ring and a clean schematic fit, would likely be on the short list. Also, Atlanta's ask is viewed as high by execs around the league. And there's more. The conditional 2026 pick the 49ers would move is tied to the deal that brought Huff to town, which would require some pick math engineering if they flipped him this early. In other words, the scenario is viable, but it requires mutual interest, clean numbers, and Cousins' own green light. Inside the building, the rumor's mere existence turns up the heat. The message to Mac Jones is blunt. The job is yours, but the execution bar is high, and the runway is short. For the defense, losing Huff would open more snaps for the young rotation and demand creativity from the coaching staff. Among fans, the debate is already boiling. Some see surgical aggressiveness, others fear destabilizing the original plan. But in such a wide-open NFC, a move like this could redefine power in a matter of days. And that wasn't even the most surprising part of the day. When the schedule already feels loaded with tension, another piece slides onto the board, the absence of a familiar face. The Saints game promised a curious reunion with Chase Young, but fate pushed that chapter back. The pass rusher, who had a brief stint in Santa Clara, is out with a calf injury. It might sound like a footnote, but for anyone who lived through Young's time in red and gold, that memory is heavy with frustration and debate. His tenure left a mark, and it wasn't the kind fans enjoy revisiting. A quick rewind. Mid-2023, in the middle of an ugly 3-game skid after a blistering 5-0 start, the 49ers went to Washington for what felt like a surgical reinforcement. Reuniting Young with Nick Bosa, his Ohio State running mate, looked like instant destruction for opposing pockets. In practice, the impact was modest, just 2.5 sacks in 9 games, with San Francisco well below expectations. To make matters worse, effort questions exploded in the playoffs when clips showed the pass rusher short of January intensity. He came alive in the Super Bowl and even logged a sack, but it wasn't enough to secure a new deal. The exit was straightforward. In 2024, Young signed with the Saints on a hefty 3-year, $51 million contract and seemed to steady himself, finishing with 5.5 sacks in 17 games. But 2025 opened with the same specter. That calf won't leave him alone. For 49ers fans, there's irony in this. Many circled this matchup as a chance to target his predictability and inconsistent burst, exactly the complaints that followed him in Santa Clara. The opportunity to expose the X vanished. The reunion will have to wait. Strategically, though, this matters. Without Young, New Orleans loses one of its key heat sources for pressuring Mac Jones. And let's be honest, with Purdy and George Kittle already out, San Francisco needs every pocket breath it can get. Young may not be the terror of old, but his absence still lightens the load on on the offensive line. In a short prep week, that kind of break can change a game's tone. No one in Santa Clara is cheering an injury, but pragmatism rules. Facing the Saints without one of their top rushers is a relief. In the stands, the memories split. Some lament missing Bosa versus Young on opposite sidelines, a true see you on the other side moment. Others exhale, happy not to relive 2023 flashbacks on the field. The truth is, without Chase Young, the matchup takes on a different shape, and this unexpected absence could matter more than it seems. But hold on, because what comes next is even harder to believe. If the 49ers have a pressure point right now, it has two names, Brock Purdy and George Kittle, both out. The emotional weight is heavy, but the strategic impact is heavier. That's why the spotlight swings directly to Brian Robinson Jr., new in town, already in the crosshairs. This isn't a luxury or a rotational option. The team needs him productive right now, because Christian McCaffrey can't carry the offense alone in September. The question echoing in the locker room is simple. Can he be trusted? The Seattle opener made it clear Robinson hasn't hit rhythm. He had chances, but stumbled in the two things a veteran back can't bungle: field vision and reads. The third quarter snap with Trent Williams paving a clean lane is practically a symbol. There was an opening to double or triple the gain, and instead Robinson settled for a 6-yard jog out of bounds. That's not about playbook familiarity. It's pure execution, the instinct to turn blocks into explosions. It was missing. Now with Purdy out and Kittle on IR, Shanahan needs Robinson as more than a complement. He needs a second pillar. The logic is obvious. If Robinson can share the load with McCaffrey, the offense gains flexibility, CMC preserves juice for critical moments, and the Saints defense can't collapse everything onto one star. If he can't, the risk of overloading McCaffrey rises, and the plan gets predictable. Context matters. Robinson isn't a raw rookie. He started for Washington over 3 seasons, handled volume and faced nasty NFC East fronts. The 49ers don't expect him to morph into McCaffrey overnight. They expect him to rediscover the steady production that made him reliable in DC. That means converting blocks into steady gains, ditching lazy reads, and forcing the Saints to respect every snap he's in the backfield. In practice, Sunday becomes a litmus test. If Robinson cashes in, he rewrites the narrative of his arrival and locks down a significant rotational role even when Purdy and Kittle return. If he repeats mistakes, he'll lose ground quickly. Shanahan isn't patient with inefficiency. The pressure is real, and this isn't a moment for experiments. Among the faithful, 2 camps are already forming. Optimists see bounce-back potential and point out that even McCaffrey needed a ramp-up when he first arrived from Carolina. Skeptics say the grace period is over. The margin for wasted snaps is gone, and the red and gold jersey demands fast answers. In the middle of that debate, one certainty: Sunday will define his first impression in Santa Clara. If Robinson delivers, he may be the spark that keeps the season's fire burning. And even that isn't the height of the tension, because the next chapter adds another layer of pressure. There are times when the NFL seems to script the perfect pressure cooker in Santa Clara, and this is one of them. On Sunday against the Saints, Mac Jones will truly wear 49ers colors in a regular season game for the first time. Brock Purdy is out, and suddenly the former Patriot holds a season with Super Bowl vibes in his hands. The stadium, a hostile stadium, a roaring crowd, and a defense full of veterans who don't forgive mistakes. A trial by fire? It's more than that. Jones's history is a roller coaster. A promising start in New England, Pro Bowl as a rookie, then decline, harsh criticism, even the sting of losing his job to Bailey Zappi. Now an unexpected shot at redemption on one of the league's most talented rosters. The fit can work. Shanahan knows how to maximize quarterbacks who win with precision, fast processing, and a clean pocket. But a few things must be addressed immediately. Start with Demario Davis. The Saints' veteran linebacker remains one of the league's nastiest run defenders. Ignoring him is tactical suicide. The counter? Bounce runs outside the interior gaps, lean on screen game, and force Davis into short area coverage snaps. It's a patience game, but essential to ease pressure on Jones. Then comes the obvious target, the corners. Kool-Aid McKinstry and Isaac Yiadom showed vulnerability in the opener. That's the crease Jones needs to exploit, flashing the deep ball that drew praise back in 2021. Taking shots downfield may not be reckless. It may be necessary. And you can't discuss the Saints without Cam Jordan. The veteran still wrecks games and plans to live in opposing backfields. If the 49ers don't chip double and generally bother him, Jones's night could turn ugly. The numbers are clear. Clean pocket Jones is efficient. Under pressure, his efficiency drops. The offensive line's mission will be as vital as the quarterback's. Through it all, a mix of tension and hope runs through the faithful. On one hand, the fear of seeing old Mac show up, tight, hesitant, easy to rattle. On the other, belief that surrounded by the talent of Christian McCaffrey, Ricky Pearsall, and Brandon Ayuk, he can find his confidence. This debut is worth more than a single W in the standings. It's narrative, belief, and even roster future. If Jones delivers, chatter about a Cousins swing cools. If he falters, those rumors will explode. That's the NFL's magic. On a random Sunday in September, the weight of a season can crash onto the shoulders of a quarterback chasing redemption. And before we close the day, we have to stitch this all together and ask what it means for the 49ers' future. Breathe, red and gold faithful. Today gave us strategy, pressure, and opportunity. A potential Cousins pivot screams ambition. The delayed Chase reunion reshapes the chessboard. Brian Robinson's response dictates offensive flow, and Mac Jones's debut can rewrite narratives. It all funnels into Sunday: execution, discipline, and fine-tuned adjustments. Now it's time to choose the season's tone: prudence or boldness. Do you want the front office, aggressive, or do you stay loyal to the current plan? Sound off below, hit like, subscribe, and ring the bell. Because around here, the conversation keeps rolling long after the final whistle.